everyone. Welcome to episode 23 of Two Guys, Zero Planners, brought to you by the fine folks over at Pen Chalet. We'd like to thank Ron and Pen Chalet for sponsoring Two Guys, Zero Planners, and for them to say thanks to you. If you use the code 2GUYS when you click on that radio podcast link at the top of the page, you get 10% off site-wide. So take advantage of that. Show Pen Chalet some love for showing us some love, and thank you for listening to Two Guys, Zero Planners. So, Urban, last show before you go on vacation again?
Yeah, last show. And then, I don't know. Let's see what I'll bring back. Well, everything is probably closed in Greece in summer, so there's no way to buy stuff stationery related anyway.
Maybe not. I'll try not to have too much fun while you're gone.
Yes, please. No guests. Just talk to yourself.
You want me to talk to myself?
Yeah, maybe you can have your dogs on or something.
But why can't I have guests?
Okay, if you must.
We've only had 2 guests in 23 episodes. I think we need to have more. You know, it'd be cool.
Yeah.
Having a podcast with 8 hosts with 1 or 2 guests every week. We should try that.
Yes. It would be fun to edit.
No, that'd be horrible. So yeah, 4 weeks in Greece, no stationery.
Mm-hmm. Well, no new stationery. We're going by car, so I'll bring a lot.
So if anyone has a Chinese pen that they're not using, send it to Urban while he's gone. That way, when he comes back, he's got a whole bunch of packages on his doorstep.
Well, I mean, that's sort of, they either would be at my doorstep or they would go back. The second option would be the problem, of course.
Well, all we have to do is make sure that we don't send them requiring a signature.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, I can be evil at this.
It's not like I have Chinese pens in the mail that I hope will arrive before I leave.
I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. Speaking of things in the mail, though, what did you ever decide to do with that $25 Amazon card?
Yes, I looked around and then I discovered that is about the price of a fake traveler's notebook cover in A5. So basically just a piece of leather and some elastics. And yeah, so I got that and then I put my journal in it. So almost 200-page Taroko Breeze. And it's a really good combination. It sort of also helps I don't know why, because the notebook isn't really, I don't know, it feels like it opens flatter, but I don't quite understand yet why.
I like how it looks, though. That is a very nice looking notebook cover.
Yeah, and it probably will look even nicer in a few months with all the scuffs and everything.
Yeah, it still has that haven't been used look to it.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm super happy for basically not paying anything for it.
Those are always the best things. They really are.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what was the final determining point to get that?
Well, one big one was, of course, shipping to Germany, because a lot of the stuff on things on Amazon.com, you just can't even get here. And then, I don't know. I just stumbled across it. I don't know. I don't remember anymore.
Well, it definitely looks good, and all you had to do was fill out a survey for it. So yeah, exactly. That's a win.
Mm-hmm. And on company time, of course.
That is always the best. Whenever the company pays you to slack, that is the best thing ever.
Yes, it is.
So moving on from a new journal, you've got a not-so-new bottle of ink that's empty.
Yeah. So I have a bottle of Pelikan 4001 turquoise that is empty. And in the linked picture, there's 5 pens that are filled with that ink. By now, it's only 4 pens. And let's see, hopefully by the end of the holiday, they'll all be empty. That will be my second ever bottle of ink that I've finished.
You know, it's not in the show notes, but technically, I emptied 4 bottles of ink over the weekend.
Yeah. Yes, you did.
Yeah. That was a mess.
It looked like a lot of fun, at least. Well, not the cleaning up part, but...
The cleaning up felt like I was cleaning up a murder scene. Because 2 of the bottles of ink I used happened to be red and a really deep yellow. Which you would be amazed how much of a mess 50 milliliters of Pilot Hiroshizuku Inaho can really make.
Yeah. Well, I can imagine. I mean, it's sort of fairly saturated, right? So you need one drip of it and it sort of sticks to everything and makes a mess.
Yeah, makes a mess is definitely the understatement there. The weird thing about it, remember how Inaho kind of has that fade to purple when it gets wet?
I have a sample. I haven't used it.
I put it in a video.
Yeah, it was a while ago.
Okay.
I did watch it though.
But yeah, it's it took a while with a really heavy degreasing dish soap to get the purple out of the sink. That's what took the longest. I had to get a scratch pad and dish soap to get that purple out.
At least you didn't use Bay State Blue.
Luckily for me, I've never owned Bay State Blue. It would probably cause my apartment to explode.
Maybe, yeah. I need to ink it up again at some point.
You actually own Bay State Blue?
I actually own a full bottle of Bay State Blue, yeah.
I'm sorry.
I almost managed to get one of the Twisby Equus clean again after having it in there for a few months.
I love how you have to qualify that with almost.
Well, I didn't. Yeah, at some point I just stopped.
That's probably better for your sanity.
Yeah, and if you put in another ink, you really don't see it anyway. I mean, yeah, but I guess we haven't even told anyone what you've done, right?
Oh, yeah. So essentially, I took my camera and put it on a tripod, pointing straight at a piece of Tomoe River paper that was taped to the mirror in my bathroom. And then I recorded it in 4K while I threw ink at it.
So how? Just opening the bottle and like that, or?
The first piece of paper for the test, I used shot glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And the one that I actually kept, which is now the intro for all of my YouTube videos, I just used the bottle.
Okay.
So I can officially say that I have finished Robert Oster's Soda Pop Blue. Was it Soda Pop Blue? No, it was Blue Water Ice. So I finished Robert Oster Blue Water Ice, Robert Oster Pen Addict Fire on Fire, Pilot Hiroshizuku Inaho, Diamine Cherry Sunburst, and Diamine Honey Burst.
Mm.
So there you go.
Yeah. So that's 5 bottles. That's nice.
And it was stationery related, so I'm counting it.
Uh-huh. Yeah, I mean, I also gave samples of my of the bottles I finished away. So, and I also count that. So that's fair.
Well, yeah, that yours at least went to good use. I only used a 12-second clip of the mess that I made. So I don't know if that's necessarily good use.
I don't know. Did you have fun doing it?
Yes.
Yeah, I think that counts then.
Yes. It should count at least. Anytime that you get to be a full-grown adult and make a huge mess that you know for a fact your parents would have freaked out about, it's a good day.
Oh, yeah. My kid's doing that. Whew.
Have them try it outside. Go get a canvas from an art store and then get a couple bottles of ink that are really complementary to each other. And then just let them do it. See what happens.
Yeah.
This is why I'm not a parent.
That's fine. I mean, my daughter is into drawing and painting and everything. And she's probably doing that at some point, if she hasn't already in one of the lessons.
Fair point. I think every artist at some point, regardless of how old they are, just gets to that point where you throw something at the canvas.
Probably, yeah.
One of my best-selling paintings, actually, the reason the person bought it was strictly due to the fact that I had taken a palette knife and thrown it through the canvas because I didn't like the way the painting looked.
What?
Yeah, I spent like 20 or 30 hours on this one abstract painting, and I just didn't like the way it looked, so I took it over to a friend's house, and we used it for target practice with a palette knife. And I took some pictures of it, posted it on the subreddit for art, and this guy in Philadelphia was like, I really like the juxtaposition of how the holes in the canvas represent my soul. And I'm like, okay, if you want to buy it, that's fine. So he bought it. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Okay. Well, sure.
Yeah, art, man. It's weird. Speaking of things having to only maybe tangentially do with stationery, though, your wife wrote a book.
Yes, it's sort of, it was written on a computer, so not really stationery related, but I think she would be unhappy if I didn't mention her first new self-published, whatever you want to call it, book everywhere I get a chance. So maybe let's do it. Let's not spend too much time on it. So if you, yeah, it is sort of not quite podcast topic. So if you maybe read 50 Shades of Grey and found it either interesting, but maybe also a bit too stupid and unlikely to ever happen, then maybe that's the book for you. So certainly not a safe for work book, although you probably wouldn't read out. Anyway. So yes,
it depends on your workplace environment.
It depends on your workplace if you read books to each other or not. So if you're into that kind of genre, then that would be a book for you, I think. Advertisement over.
You know, this is going to sound interesting, but when you started describing that, I recall that at one point you were a guest on another show that I did. And during that, I think you actually mentioned the beginning of her writing a book. Because that whole phrase that you just did of it was on a computer, so it really doesn't count as stationery. I feel you've said that before in a podcast.
Really? Huh.
Yeah, I'd have to go back through and listen to the audio if I remember to do it. But I think you've said that before. Trippy. You know what else is trippy?
What else?
There's another stationery podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Leaky Nib. And you would probably be so happy if every one of us had a recording studio like they do, right?
Yes and no. Okay. The audio engineer in me would be ecstatic. But I listen to so many podcasts where people on other ends of the world don't have perfect recording setups and they've got extremely large followings. The show is good. The content is good. So for me, I care more about the content. I love their studio setup. It's great. But I like that they refilled the niche left behind by BYOB. When that podcast ended, the stationery world lost the pen show after dark feel to it. And it's nice to actually see a podcast come back that has that.
That's true. Yeah, I didn't really see it that way. But yeah. There's a lot of swearing and some alcohol involved in that podcast.
Well, I mean, there could be swearing in our show too, but I bleep it out.
You do, and my vocabulary in English isn't that good.
No, you're just a gentleman.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah, for the most part.
Just read the book and you'll find out.
Whoa. Is one of the characters based off of you?
I'm not saying anything anymore.
Wow. Yeah. So check out our brother, sister, whatever podcast, brethren on iTunes or your other podcast player of choice, the Leaky Nib podcast. One of these days, we'll get Michael to sound that good.
And maybe one day I'll be in the top 10 of audio you want to work with and not just 11.
You know, posting that list was a dangerous thing for me to do. I stand by my decisions, but boy, it was dangerous.
Yeah. But I mean, I agree. Yeah. I mean, we also had Mike on the last episode, and it was just really, really easy to work with his audio. So, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wait, have you had Brad Dowdy on your show?
We had Anna did an interview in the evening at a pen show at a table with one microphone.
Okay, so she hasn't had the true Brad Dowdy podcasting experience yet.
No, maybe someday we'll do that.
Okay, yeah. If my evil plan while you're gone, sorry, I'm going to get guests. I just have to. But if my evil plan works, I will send you a copy. Wait, you've got access to the Google folder. You can just take a look at the copy of the audio so you can see the goodness that is a Brad Dowdy audio file.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, though, there's a reason he's number one, and that's just because Mike Hurley has done a good job beating good mic technique into him.
Yeah, so something sticks after so many years, I guess.
It has to. I mean, that's the only reason I know what even a quarter of the stuff I do is just because I've been doing it so long I can do it when completely drunk.
Yeah, which I guess helped on BYOB. Yeah.
Yes. Well, I mean, that was a prerequisite. I think I was averaging 4 shots. No, I was averaging 4 shots per edit, and I was doing 4 edits, and I averaged 6 shots per actual recording night. And we did that show live. What were we thinking?
Mm-hmm. Yes, it certainly was an experience, that show.
Yes, totally an experience. An experience in punishment.
For you. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, when you get to, and you're not going to hear any of this kind of audio on Leaky Nib. You're going to hear very professional audio. So you're not going to hear people recording in a bus, people recording in the middle of a pen show while it's still going on, people recording in a hotel room, people recording on Apple headphones with audio cutting out every other word.
Oh, that's the worst. Oh.
Yeah. You'll hear very good audio, which, yes, it's interesting. So let's move on before I have a moment, because I feel like there's a soapbox getting ready to be put in front of me about audio, and I just don't want to do that.
Yeah. Next thing we know, you compare audio to weapons or stuff like that.
Hey, I do that one time and you don't let it go.
Yeah, maybe someday I'll let it go.
Maybe. But by that point, hopefully we'll be doing a face-to-face podcast at like the Dallas Pen Show or something. That way you have no choice but to let it go in person.
All right, so.
Oh, I also finished a bottle of Robert Oster turquoise. Wow, I can't even say turquoise.
Okay.
Yeah, the reason I remembered that is because Morning Mist and Lake Michigan Winter are very similar to Robert Oster turquoise, and I can't do a comparison video because I'm out of it now.
Mm-hmm.
So you can't get Lake Michigan Winter because it was an exclusive for the 2019 Chicago Pen Show. So when I was swabbing them, I noticed that there were a fair amount of similarities between Robert Oster Morning Mist and Lake Michigan Winter from Papier Plume. So I did a video about it. And I immediately stood corrected. Even though they look similar when you swab them, if you put them in a medium nib, they look very similar as well. Once you start using them for an extended period of time, I would say Lake Michigan Winter looks like a more desaturated Morning Mist, and Morning Mist has more shading and a little bit of sheen to it as well if you get it in a really thick nib.
Yeah. But on the other hand, isn't that a good thing? Because that's sort of, then it's okay to buy inks that look fairly similar.
It really is. So, I mean, the one thing I wanted to try to get across in that video is that if you weren't able to get the limited edition ink from Papier Plume, that you shouldn't feel bad. You can just go get Morning Mist and you've got the exact same ink. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It's close, but Papier Plume does perform better as far as water tests, and it's just a more desaturated ink. And I like it more than Morning Mist. I never thought I would say that because Morning Mist is one of my go-to inks, right up there with Diatramentus Petrol.
Okay. Yeah, I'm thinking about turquoise inks now. I mean, I probably have enough, but I just almost finished that bottle of Pelikan turquoise, and now I wonder what else is out there.
Well, you've got Morning Mist, you've got Robert Oster turquoise, got KWZ turquoise, which I still think is the best legitimate turquoise out there.
Mm-hmm. So you mean the standard, not the iron gall version, right?
Right, standard, not iron gall. I haven't tried any KWZ iron gall inks, actually.
Okay. Yeah, neither. I have a sample of one of the greens.
Have you used it?
I have used it, but it was a long time ago.
Yeah, I need to go back into my iron gall phase, especially since I own irongall.ink. Yeah, there was a sale on .ink websites, so I bought irongall.ink and was it do not drink.ink? I think it's do not drink.ink. I feel like I should do something with that.
Yeah. I'm still proud of fpc.ink. That works really well.
It really does. That is by far a very good URL.
Okay, so.
Oh, and another turquoise ink. Lamy Amazonite.
True, yeah. So have you bought that? Have you tried it?
Okay. I kind of bought it. I had enough ink points at Pen Chalet to where I technically got it for free. I'm disclosing that now because when I do a review on it, if I don't disclose it, people will get mad.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good ink. It's a good mix between just teal and turquoise. I don't call it a true turquoise. I don't call it a true teal, but it's a good hybrid between the two.
Okay. Yeah.
And it's very well saturated.
Yeah, I mean the one I own, what is it, purple magenta, the barrel. It's also very, very nice ink, very saturated, fairly wet, and that's a cool ink.
I mean, I'm not a fan of Lamy pens, but they did really good with that ink.
Mm-hmm.
To be fair, that's actually the first Lamy ink I've ever had.
Oh, you need to try Lamy turquoise.
They have a turquoise?
Yes, of course they do. Standard line. You can even get it in cartridge form.
Are you trying to convert me over to cartridges?
No, but yeah, I mean, if you don't own a Lamy pen, then that's not really useful. But for testing out inks, cartridges are a good thing because they're cheap, I guess.
Go big or go home, Urban. Go big or go home.
Yes, my wallet and my cupboard sort of disagree.
Yeah, I kind of know how you feel. The other new addition as well is a Sailor Graphite Lighthouse, which the Lamy ink happens to be in. Because, well, broad nib.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Take a look at the picture on Pen Chalet. And then look up the exact same pen on another retailer's website really quick.
Oh, so it's a slim. Okay.
Well, it comes in regular as well, but I bought the slim.
Okay. Isn't that too small for you?
Surprisingly enough, no. So see how on most of the photos you're seeing, it's either a deep graphite or it's got some good reflection to it? No, just no. It doesn't.
It doesn't? Okay.
No, it is a flat gray pen. I don't really even think it looks like graphite. It reminds me more of gunmetal than graphite.
Is it good or bad that it's just flat gray?
I don't know. It's very subtle. I like that. But remember that conversation we had about boring pens when we were talking about the 823?
Yes, this one came up.
It's very close because of how flat gray it is to being a boring pen. If the nib wasn't so unbelievably smooth, and if it didn't somehow fit in my hand just right, I might have issues with it.
Okay. Well, good. So it's not like it's going to get sold again like some other pens pretty quickly.
Okay, to be fair, the Bennu pens kind of had it coming.
Yeah. They have a bit of a weird shape, I guess.
They do. And that's one of the biggest reasons that after using them on reviews now for the last 3 months, I've decided to go ahead and sell them. I did go ahead and do a review of both of them before putting them up for sale. But aside from reviews, I never took them out of the pen case.
Okay. Yeah. That is a good reason, yeah.
It really is. I mean, every 2 to 3 months, I look through my pens. If I haven't picked up a pen for actual writing in about 2 or 3 weeks, then I let it move on.
Yeah, I should do that at some point.
Well, it's an interesting thing because it keeps me down to 6 pens right now.
6 pens. Wow. That's less pens than I have inked right now.
All 6 of them are inked and all 6 of them are in rotation. But yeah, I'm down to 6 pens.
Huh.
Yeah. And I mean, don't get me wrong. For the people listening, the Graceful Chameleon is a beautiful looking pen. I like the color scheme. The video's like 15 minutes long, but if you want to skip to the 12 and a half minute mark when I'm actually giving my final thoughts, they're accurate. I like the color scheme of the Graceful Chameleon. If you put those colors on the Briolette, it's beautiful. If you had the step of the Briolette on the Chameleon, then that would work. If you had the facets of the Briolette on the... Okay, let's just put it this way. Get rid of the Chameleon, especially at $100 for that pen, and just make better color options for the Briolette.
Yeah. Yeah, those colors aren't really my thing. Otherwise, I probably would have found some money somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where when I looked at the pens in person, the colors caught me at the time, but I think the aluminum flakes in the pen were overdone, especially on the Briolette.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a lot.
And it's really just that particular color that does.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe if I'd gotten one of the other ones, no, it still wouldn't have gotten that much use.
At least you didn't get this parrot pen.
A what?
I don't know. Bennu has a pen that looks like a parrot.
I'm not even going to look. That just seems like a horrible idea.
It does, yeah.
We're not even going to punish people by putting that in the show notes. That just seems like a horrible idea. Or do we want to put it in the show notes?
We can put David's video of it.
That would work.
Find it.
So yeah, listeners, check that out in the show notes. You'll be seeing more of that than I will. Anyone who watches my videos for 2 seconds knows that I have a really obscure grip with my fountain pens. So your results will definitely vary.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of the thing with Bennu, right? They try to do different shapes than other manufacturers, which is great in a sense that someone tries other stuff, but it just doesn't work as well for many people, I guess.
Yeah, that is definitely true. So one last thing, because people are probably noticing by now that I am a little bit more hyper than normal. There's kind of a reason for that.
Coffee.
Not just any coffee. Colombian San Agustin coffee. It is amazing. And it is the epitome of a dark roast coffee. And I had them roast it for me at 470 degrees Fahrenheit. I have no clue what that is in Celsius.
Neither do I.
So whatever that is in Celsius, it's very hot.
Mm-hmm.
So it is amazing. For people in the United States, there's a company called Coffee by the Roast. They're based in northern Chicago, and they import a whole bunch of coffee, and they actually let you choose the temperature that you have them roast the coffee before they send the beans out to you. Mm-hmm. I was amazed. Like, for the price I paid for it, I was thinking maybe one notch above Starbucks coffee. No, this is at least 40 or 50 notches above it.
Yeah, and Starbucks isn't the worst coffee you could get, I guess.
No, you could get Walmart coffee. Yeah, if you ever come stateside, Urban, you will have to experience Walmart.
You think so? Yeah, maybe.
Well, that way you can verify firsthand that website, People of Walmart, really is an accurate representation of some of the stuff that you see there. Enough about my coffee-fueled ramblings. We've got some questions.
And today we are only doing 2 of them.
I don't know. We may do a third. It just depends on how spirited the conversation is. I think it may be very spirited, especially with that second question.
Maybe.
The first one kind of feels like a question that I would get on an episode of Hypothetical.
Yeah. But if you want to ask questions as well, the best place is to join the Discord.
Yes, which the link is down below for that. Yeah.
Is it? Good.
Yeah, the link is perpetually down below for the Discord channel. Urban is a lot more talkative than I am, but that's because Urban just pays attention more.
No, it's because I have it open while working.
Pays attention more, has it open while working. I think those are pretty much the same.
Okay.
I could be wrong, though. I mean, I did try to say that the Shinobi was open source.
Yeah, what's the problem with that?
Let's not rehash that. I already feel bad enough. Carissa had the first question here. With it being the 50th anniversary of the moon landing, what astronaut, living or dead, would you like to write to? And why would you like to write to them? And what ink and stationery would you use for that letter?
Ooh. So I The only astronaut I could come up with right now is Alexander Gerst. He's sort of the fan. My kids are a fan of his. He's the latest German astronaut that went to the ISS, and they used to talk about him all the time. I'm not sure what I would write to him and what stationery to use, but I guess that would be the one. Sorry, fairly boring answer.
Well, I mean, okay. When you normally write, what is your determining factor in, like, okay, you and I are pen pals.
Mm-hmm.
So what's your determining factor when you're writing a response to one of my letters?
Whatever I fancy that day, basically.
So knowing that your letter would be going to somebody that's far more important than me, would you still use the same train of thought of, I have this pen, it's already inked up, let's use it? Or would you actually empty it out and get a different ink?
Well, of course, I wouldn't empty it out because I have so many pens.
Okay.
Maybe I wouldn't use a glitter ink, but that's about it. Then I would just use whatever I like that day. Probably Tomoe River paper, but yeah, any ink I fancy that day.
Okay. So some Maruzen Eternal Blue on Tomoe River. Oh no, I was just picking an ink for you. Something that was nice and straightforward, but good looking.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Wow. Astronauts. What are their names? I feel like a horrible person for not knowing astronaut names other than Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong, and those feel too stereotypical to say. Yuri Gagarin? I mean, yeah, I would say him, actually, because he was the first guinea pig to actually go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay, so Yuri, I would write him. That way I could also try my Russian and see how horrible I did if he wrote back, if the Soviet Union would let him write back. As for what? I mean, I would have to ask what it was like to be the first person to actually go where no man had gone before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that just seems like the place to start. I think I would also have to use a Colorverse ink.
Yeah, that's true, yeah. That would be a good idea.
And I think of all the Colorverse inks that there are, I would have to use either Gravity Wave or... No, I'd use Gravity Wave. Yeah, definitely Gravity Wave.
Okay, what color is that?
It's the kind of tealish blue ink.
Mm-hmm.
I really like it. Actually, no, never mind. I was going to say your cursor in our Google document right now looks that color, but more blue. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, definitely Colorverse Gravity Wave. And as far as the paper goes, it's definitely Tomoe River, but I'm trying to decide 52 or 68 GSM. I think I would go 52 GSM strictly for the sheening properties, and Gravity Wave really come out better on 52.
Yeah. I don't even own the 68 outside of notebooks, so
yeah,
I wouldn't want to rip out pages out of a notebook for it.
I may or may not do that all the time. I've got a special pair of miniature scissors for cutting notebook pages out because I do it way too often.
Okay.
So one of my notebooks would be sacrificed for this letter.
Okay.
Okay, one last thing I would ask him. What were his overarching thoughts on the Soviet Union and communism as a whole? I mean, because I'm assuming if I'm writing to him in modern day, I can ask him those questions without him having to be, I mean, he's dead, but still. I could ask him those questions without him having to worry about being sent to a gulag.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
The history major in me just wants to know those things. So thank you, Carissa, for asking that question. Urban's answer was definitely the more sensible of the two.
Yeah, I don't have the practice of coming up with weird answers like you do with that other podcast.
Yes, right before this show, I came up with some really weird answers for episode 55 of Hypothetical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it involved bumper cars and coming up with a new movie idea. And the bumper cars involved watermelons, so it got really weird.
Okay.
And the second question for tonight comes from Opus 1971. And his question, or her question, their question, if you had to choose between a Pilot Vanishing Point and a Pilot Custom 74, which would you choose and why?
So I owned a Custom 74, but I only held a vanishing point for like 2 minutes at some meetup at some point. So it's a bit hard to decide. I mean, from the design, I would probably go for the Custom 74 because I like demonstrators and they now have fun colors. Maybe I would go with the Custom 74 with the soft fine nib. I don't know. Because the vanishing point, I don't know. I mean, I have a sort of traditional grip, but not 100%. So I'm not sure if that really would work for me long term.
Okay. I've owned both, and I no longer own both. They both had pros and cons. The easiness of getting ink trapped in the section of the 74 was the major con for that one. And where the clip is on the vanishing point was the con for that one, because with my obscure grip, it just kept getting in the way.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, though, I would choose the vanishing point any day of the week over the 74.
Okay.
Even though it was weird. I mean, even though the writing experience was just completely weird because of that clip and because of how I write, it felt like a much better built pen. It's the cheaper of the two, but it feels like a much more sturdy pen, and it looks like a much more elegant pen at the end of the day. I mean, the 74 has a more traditional looking nib, but the hidden nib of the vanishing point just really calls to me in a way that I think if they could redesign the clip better, or if I did the clip mod that some people do, having the clip removed, I think I'd like it a lot better. But yeah, design-wise, I would have to say vanishing point any day of the week.
Okay. Yeah, at some point I will probably get one and see if I really like it or not.
Yeah, you should really get one. Your handwriting is probably a little bit more traditional as far as grip goes, so it would probably do better for you.
Yeah. I mean, I still don't grip the Lamy pens, so the Lamy Safari, as you're supposed to. But yeah, it probably should work.
Yeah, there's a reason I don't own Lamy Safaris.
Yeah. I own the Vista. I've sold all other Lamy pens. That's sort of okay.
You know, I used to own a Lamy 2000.
Mm-hmm.
The only reason I even got rid of that pen was because of the way the section is. My fingers would keep sliding off the end of the pen. I'm sitting there writing, and the next thing I know, the pen has fallen out of my hand, and I'm just scraping my fingers across paper.
Okay. Yeah, that's not ideal. That's true.
No, and the bad thing is it had a beautiful nib, and it wrote perfectly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that pen is on the short list for me as well.
Yeah. So if we could expand this list. So if you were picking between the Vanishing Point, the Custom 74, and the 823, which would you choose?
Well, I've never even held an 823, so I don't know. So maybe that's why I would probably choose it.
That's kind of why I threw it in there. I haven't held one either.
Yeah.
Ron actually offered to send me his so I could use it for review.
Mm-hmm.
But I told him that if he sent it to me, I would just end up wanting to find an excuse for it to never go back to Arizona. So I would prefer to wait till I can actually buy one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
It just seems, it looks like it would be a comfortable pen.
Yeah, that's true.
As much as a pen could look it.
You could buy the Chinese knockoff. By now, there's also a knockoff of that pen.
I could, but you know me, I always go straight for the real thing.
Yeah, even I am not buying that one.
There is a line. It just depends.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of lines, we are going to do one more question. The more I look at this question, I think I finally have an answer for it.
Okay, good. So you tell me the answer.
Yeah, so Rescue Monkey asked us to compare and contrast continental philosophy with analytic philosophy and tell him which is correct. Then contrast between Socratic philosophers with Confucianism and Taoism. I finally have an answer for this. Rescue Monkey, you're a smart person. Do your own homework.
And it literally is probably his homework, right?
It probably is. I mean, to be fair, it's a very good question. And I think it's a great topic for when you're having a random conversation with somebody. Here's an idea. For his homework, we're going to do a quick thought experiment.
Mhm.
He's doing homework on these topics. What pen should he use? What ink should he use? And what notebook should he use?
Is that a question for us?
Yeah, it's a question for us. I mean, I had to figure out something to do with this question, so I figured we'd turn it into a thought experiment of how he would do his homework.
Uh-huh. Maybe he could use some of the pencils he's gotten into recently.
I have noticed that. He is going on kind of a Blackwing kick.
And some other Japanese ones.
Yeah, he's actually got really good handwriting for it, too. Which, yes, Rescue Monkey, you've got really nice handwriting. You could probably teach me a thing or two. So you're saying pencils. So obviously no ink.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I would say he would probably, along with the pencils, also get a lot of utilization out of a Platinum 3776 with an ultra extra fine nib.
Yeah, that could work for his handwriting. That's true.
Yeah, with his handwriting, I think that would be a good combination. As far as the ink, you really need a good flowing ink from that. Picking an ink for him is kind of a tough one.
I actually always enjoyed putting iron gall inks in my Ultra Extra Fine.
Okay, that's actually a good place to start then. So definitely not the Stipula iron gall inks. Those were terrible.
So I only own one bottle, so the Rohrer and Klingner Salex, which is a nice blue.
Yeah, that one is good. Yeah, okay. Yeah, so that would be a good pen and ink combination for that. So for the paper though, what paper would he be using? Because we're talking about an actual notebook here, not loose leaf paper.
So with an ultra extra fine nib, you need something fairly smooth. So
bank paper is out.
Bank paper definitely is out with that nib, yeah.
Although that would work with the pencil.
Yeah, it would, yeah. I mean, Tomoe River is always nice. It also works pretty well with pencils. So it seems like a good option. Maybe one of the endless notebooks or something.
Now, here's the big question. Would you want to do your note-taking for your homework in dot grid? Or would you rather do it in lined paper?
I always do dot grid. Because if you write really small, I mean, you're talking about an ultra extra fine nib. You don't really need more space, right?
This is true. That would actually be a good combination. So we've got Blackwing and Japanese pencils, a 3776 with Solix, and a couple Tomoe River paper Endless Works notebooks.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go, Rescue Monkey. We can't do your homework for you, but we can recommend what you could do your homework with.
Exactly.
Speaking of which, if you ever come up with a good answer for that stuff, Rescue Monkey, tell us in the Slack or tell us in our Discord.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys for listening to us. It's been a pleasure as always. I'll see you again in 2 weeks. Urban will be back in about a month.
Really? More, right?
Month and a half? Well, I'll try to make sure that I haven't changed too much.
Yes, you do that.
I'll talk to you later, Urban.
Bye.